Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air. The action from the U.S. Supreme Court that could delay one of the most consequential criminal cases facing former President Trump. The justices dealing a blow to Special Counsel Jack Smith and his election interference case against Trump, declining to grant an expedited review of the question of presidential immunity, whether a president can be prosecuted for crimes allegedly committed while in office, how this could affect the trial scheduled for March. And it comes after that new report in the Detroit News, a previously unknown recording of a phone call between Trump, the RNC chair, and Republican canvassers in Michigan in the wake of the 2020 election. Trump allegedly pressuring officials not to certify the results after Joe Biden won. Aaron Katersky with late reporting. The record holiday travel crush is on. Millions of Americans take to the skies and the roads in what is expected to be the busiest air travel Christmas season ever, as a major cross-country storm sweeps east. Rob Marciano with the forecast, and Gio Benitez with the best and worst times to travel. The new images just coming in. A terrifying moment at sea. A cruise ship slammed by a rogue wave, sending hundreds of passengers scrambling. The war between Israel and Hamas, an American hostage confirmed dead. A 73-year-old father and grandfather. The last known video of him just before the attack. And President Joe Biden responding late today. Our Britt Clennett in Israel. Here at home, law enforcement on high alert while the FBI is calling New Year's Eve in Times Square an attractive target for violence. Pierre Thomas reports. The state of emergency in upstate New York. A tanker truck loaded with propane colliding into a railway bridge and exploding. With just 3 days to go, the last-minute holiday shopping rush and the notable price drop ahead of Christmas. And restoring Notre Dame, James Longman takes us inside the effort to bring the ancient landmark back to life.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. It's great to have you with us on this Friday night. I'm Whit Johnson in for David. And we begin with breaking news. The U.S. Supreme Court denying the special counsel's request to fast-track a review of a key question in former President Trump's election interference case. The one-sentence order could lead to a delay in Trump's trial for allegedly plotting to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. That trial is currently scheduled to begin on March 4th, right in the thick of the race for the White House. Special Counsel Jack Smith was seeking to avoid the lengthy appeals process by asking the nation's highest court to determine if Trump is immune from prosecution for crimes he allegedly committed while president. This all coming as the Detroit News reports that Trump allegedly pressured Republican canvassers in Michigan not to certify the 2020 election results for Joe Biden during a recorded phone call. ABC News has not independently confirmed that report. And tonight, how the former president is responding. ABC's senior investigative correspondent, Aaron Katersky, leads us off.
Tonight, a legal victory for former President Donald Trump. In a one-sentence order, the U.S. Supreme Court says it will stay out of the federal election interference case against him until a lower court decides whether he's immune from prosecution for crimes he allegedly committed while he was in office. Special Counsel Jack Smith had asked the justices to move fast and bypass a federal appeals court. Today's decision almost certainly means Trump's trial, currently scheduled to begin March 4th, will be delayed. Trump faces conspiracy and obstruction charges for plotting to overturn the 2020 election. The special counsel said Trump used deceit toward state officials to subvert the legitimate election results. And tonight, a new report claiming to show how deeply engaged Trump was in efforts to cling to power. The Detroit News reports it reviewed a recording of Trump on the phone with two Republicans on the Wayne County Board of Canvassers, pressuring them not to certify Joe Biden's victory in Michigan. The paper says Trump told the two canvassers, Monica Palmer and William Hartman, they'd look terrible if they signed the certification, and quotes Trump telling them, "We can't let these people take our country away from us." Republican Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel, who was on the same call, reportedly said, "Do not sign it. We will get you attorneys." Trump adding, "We'll take care of that." ABC News has not independently confirmed the report. Neither Trump nor McDaniel disputed the paper's characterization of the call. Palmer did not respond to our request for comment. Hartman died in 2021. The pressure campaign did not work. The canvassers ultimately certified the election for Biden. Trump's spokesman says the former president's actions were taken in furtherance of his duty as president to ensure election integrity. McDaniel said the call reflects her belief there was ample evidence that warranted an audit. The call fits a pattern of Trump strong-arming state officials to change the 2020 election results, like his call to Georgia's Secretary of State.
So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state.
Aaron Katersky joining us now. And Aaron, I want to go back to that order from the Supreme Court declining to fast track a review of Trump's immunity. What does this mean for the special counsel's case going forward now?
This is a blow to Jack Smith, the special counsel. He wanted the trial to start as soon as possible. He knew it was an extraordinary ask. Trump's lawyers said he was trying to move forward with reckless abandon. Tonight, Trump now says he's looking forward to the appeal. And at this point, Whit, a March 4th trial seems highly unlikely. Whit. All right, Aaron Katersky, thank you. Turning now to what's expected to be a record-breaking stretch of holiday travel. The Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport packed with crowds today. The TSA screening more than 5 million people over the past 2 days. And it comes as a massive storm is now on the move, hitting the southwest. Dangerous driving conditions in Phoenix this morning. Senior meteorologist Rob Marciano standing by with the forecast. But first, here's transportation correspondent Gio Benitez.
Tonight, with record-breaking holiday travel expected, that massive storm hitting the West Coast causing headaches, some spots seeing 3 inches of rain an hour. In Phoenix, a flood watch today jeopardizing connections. Harmony Hawkins has a tight window to make her flight to see family in Orlando.
45 minutes. So now that my flight's delayed, I don't know what's going to happen. Kind of nervous.
The airline's anticipating the most travelers ever this holiday period, with the TSA screening 10% more people this year than last. More than 5 million combined on Wednesday and Thursday alone. Those crowds worrying. Minnesota-bound Maria Carlson.
You know, it's not too bad, but I am a little bit anxious just about the number of people that are here.
United Airlines giving ABC News access to its Nerve Center in Houston. Take a look at this 360-degree view of the airport. You can see all of the planes. They are managing all 128 gates on the busiest travel day. Your attention has to be focused on every little detail, doesn't it?
That is correct. So not only just the aircraft, but personnel around the aircraft, if the aircraft has issues.
Meanwhile, Whit, the majority of people will be driving to their holiday destinations. Tomorrow is going to be a very busy day on the roads. The worst times between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. So basically, Whit, all day.
Got to have a plan. All right, Gio, thank you. Let's get right to senior meteorologist Rob Marciano. So, Rob, where's this system heading next?
Whit, slowly moving to the east. You saw Phoenix and Arizona is getting it right now with flash flood watches remaining up there. Winter storm warnings now are posted for the mountains. As it will eventually traverse the Rockies, we'll see a foot or more of snow there. But getting into the plains, it looks like during the day on Saturday, and then looks like heavy rain from Dallas down to Houston into Lake Charles. Very mild at ahead of this. Heavy rain's going to push on Christmas Day. Looks like it's going to be Chicago back to Nashville, Atlanta in the morning. That's going to be difficult travel. The rest of the country on Christmas Day, relatively quiet in both the west and the East Coast. So that's the good news. Whit?
We'll enjoy those warmer temperatures. All right, Rob, thank you. Next tonight, the terrifying ordeal for hundreds of passengers on a Norwegian cruise ship slammed by a dangerous rogue wave. The wave hitting during a brutal storm as the ship was sailing near Denmark, losing power and its navigation systems. Here's ABC's Marcus Moore.
Tonight, a terrifying ordeal at sea after a rogue wave rocked a Norwegian cruise ship packed with passengers. The ship, named MS Maud, bound for England, setting off from Norway, sailing into the North Sea when a violent storm sent strong winds and massive waves into the ship. Windows on the bridge shattered, the vessel losing power and its navigation systems. Passengers wearing life vests huddled together. Remarkably, no passengers or crew were hurt. Experts say rogue waves are more than twice the size of other waves nearby and are uncommon and unpredictable. The ship, now with only one working engine, is stabilized and being towed to Germany.
And with that ship was originally scheduled to arrive today here in the UK with more than 260 passengers on board. Tonight, the cruise line is working to arrange travel back home for all of those passengers. With
Marcus Moore for us tonight. Thank you. We're getting new details on the death of an American hostage taken by Hamas. These are the last known images here of 73-year-old Gadi Hagi, a grandfather of 7, going for his daily walk with his wife Judy shortly before terrorists attacked on October 7th. Judy still believed to be in Gaza. And what President Biden said late today. Here's ABC's Britt Clennett in Israel again tonight.
Tonight, Israeli officials confirming the death of another American in this conflict, 73-year-old Gadi Hagi, seen in this surveillance video on the morning of Hamas's attack, leaving for a walk with his wife Judy. The couple capturing this video, rockets streaming across the sky as the Hamas assault began. Previously listed as a hostage, Hagi's kibbutz today saying the grandfather of 7 was shot and killed by gunmen while on that walk. Hamas militants taking his body with them. His wife taken captive, still believed to be inside Gaza. Their daughter telling ABC's Matt Gutman last month she hadn't heard news about her parents since just after the attack.
They were shot by terrorists, probably the first civilians to encounter terrorists that day. They shot the wheels of the ambulance. They put it on fire so nobody could send that ambulance to her. And that was actually the last we know of anything that happened to her.
With intense close combat still raging inside Gaza, a grim new milestone. More than 20,000 people have been killed since the start of the war, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. Gaza plunged into humanitarian crisis.
De resolución que figura en el documento.
Today, the UN Security Council adopting a resolution to expand air deliveries to civilians there. The US abstaining in the final vote after vetoing a version of the resolution that called for an immediate ceasefire.
This is a strong step forward.
The vote coming on the heels of an alarming UN report warning the entire Gaza population faces crisis levels of hunger.
Late today, the White House issuing a statement on the death of that American citizen. President Biden saying he is heartbroken by the news of Gadi Hagi's death and pledging to not stop working to bring the remaining American hostages home. Whit.
All right, Britt Clennett, thank you. Back here at home, law enforcement on high alert as the war in the Middle East fuels tensions across this country. The FBI warning that New Year's Eve in Times Square is a, quote, attractive target for violence. And the Deputy U.S. Attorney General saying there's been an unprecedented rise in terror threats this holiday season. Here's ABC's Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas.
Just days before the iconic ball drop in New York's Times Square, tonight top law enforcement officials on high alert, warning that America is facing perhaps its highest threat level since 9/11. A new threat assessment obtained by ABC News says the location is an attractive target for foreign terrorist organizations and violent extremists. Fueling the steady rise in threats, the ongoing Israel-Hamas war. The FBI now has 100 active full-scale investigations tied to that conflict.
Since October 7th, the FBI has received more than 1,800 reports of threats or other types of tips or leads that are somehow related to or have a nexus to the current conflict in Israel and Gaza.
In an exclusive interview, Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco says threats to public officials are reaching alarming levels. Just today, a 52-year-old man arrested for threatening to bomb a FBI field office in Los Angeles. The FBI intercepting emails to an unnamed agent from the suspect, calling himself the Unabomber, and writing that he was willing to commit mass murder.
Just this week, Pierre, we've had cases involving threats to kill FBI agents, a Supreme Court justice, and 3 presidential candidates.
And with that suspect charged with threatening 3 presidential candidates, allegedly said he wanted to shoot and impale them. So you can see why these threats have to be run down. Whit.
Pierre Thomas, thank you. There is late-breaking news to report tonight, and for details on what is a developing story, we go to ABC's Juju Chang.
That's right, Whit. Breaking news out of Colorado tonight. A guilty verdict for 2 paramedics charged in the tragic death of 23-year-old violinist Elijah McClain. Peter Kachuniak and Jeremy Cooper both found guilty of criminally negligent homicide for giving an excessive dose of ketamine as police pinned McClain down on an Aurora, Colorado street back in 2019. Whit?
Juju, thank you. We move on now to the last-minute holiday shopping rush. Despite inflation concerns, millions of Americans are apparently still willing to spend as retailers offer deep discounts. And tonight, what a new report says about a change in prices. Here's ABC's Mireya Villarreal.
You have a Merry Christmas.
You too, Merry Christmas. Tonight, amid the final holiday shopping rush.
Much better deals on last minute.
Prices falling for the first time month over month since April 2020, According to the Department of Commerce, more progress than economists expected.
Retailers have been offering key deals to consumers throughout the season. We know that deals in many cases started as early as October, and consumers have confidence that they will continue even through the end of the holiday shopping season.
Though prices are dropping, inflation sits at 3.1%, a point higher than the Fed's target. And consumers are still stretched, spending $200 more a month compared to a year ago.
I budgeted knowing that Christmas comes the same time every year and that inflation was still going to be high.
I don't think it's getting better.
Small business owners staying positive as the economy shows hopeful signs.
People are spending money on their homes, on their gifts, and even if funds are tight, they still buy a new ornament every year. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you as well.
Whit, big corporations like Nike are still cautious. In fact, they just sent out an alert recently saying they are expecting a potential revenue loss. But here in Grapevine, Texas, on Main Street, the Christmas spirit is absolutely alive. And tomorrow, around the country, there is an expected 142 million shoppers that are supposed to come out for what's being called Super Saturday. Whit?
The clock is ticking to get that shopping done, Mireya. Thank you. Still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Friday. New concerns about respiratory illness activity nationwide after 2 pediatric deaths from RSV in Wisconsin. And a massive explosion and fire in upstate New York. The extraordinary images and a state of emergency. Next tonight, new concerns about RSV in young children after Wisconsin officials confirmed 2 pediatric deaths. 23 states plus New York and Washington, D.C. are experiencing high or very high levels of respiratory illness activity, which includes RSV, the flu, COVID, and the common cold. A state of emergency has been declared in the upstate New York town of Glenville, about 3 hours north of New York City. A tanker truck carrying natural gas hit a railroad bridge, exploding into a massive fire. These images show a train crossing over the bridge as the fire burns underneath. The driver survived. When we come back, the incredible rescue in Southern California. A man trapped for days in a cliffside hole is finally pulled to safety. To the index now, an incredible rescue in Southern California of a man trapped for days. It took crews more than 12 hours to free the man who'd become stuck in a cliffside hole at Sunset Cliffs near San Diego. First responders braving rough terrain and rising tides. Man told rescuers he'd been there for 3 days before anyone heard his cries for help. When we come back, Notre Dame Cathedral rising from the ashes.
ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, sponsored by Chewy.
Finally tonight, Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris soaring back to life. Our James Longman with a close-up look.
When Notre Dame caught fire in 2019, millions watched a piece of history burn. An international treasure nearly destroyed. The challenge to rebuild it huge. I saw the scale of the damage in early 2021, the massive hole in the roof still wide open. But now, just a year till completion, the finish line is in sight.
And you can see the spire.
We climb our way towards the very top of the new spire.
You can see the stonework here. This is all completely new. It was too destroyed to recover, and this woodwork, the beams have all been freshly laid, and you can see that bunch of flowers. That's a gift from the carpenters to say that they're done with this part.
Hundreds of feet up, the scale of this colossal project is clear.
And here we are, right on the top of Notre Dame de Paris. I mean, take a look at this view, it's extraordinary. And the spire is back. I mean, those images, when the spire initially crumbled down into the church when it was on fire, they sent shockwaves all over the world, and it was a trauma for France. It being back now, standing tall over the city, it's a rebirth. Americans were part of a large group of carpenters that came, and they used really ancient techniques.
Inside, the changes are miraculous. That hole in the roof closed back up entirely. Hundreds of years of dirt cleaned from the walls to brighten every surface. 2,000 specialists have worked on this project. Joiners, carpenters, stonemasons, artists and metalworkers, all working around the clock to make next year's deadline. The stunning rose stained glass window cleaned and back to its former glory.
This is the most sacred part of the church now, the altar. And you'll remember in the days after the fire, those extraordinary images of the cross down next to the altar with the debris all around it. Well, now look at it. The cross is back up, waiting to be unveiled. With the spire back on Notre Dame de Paris is the Christmas present the French were waiting for. But this cathedral won't be open until December of next year. Whit.
An inspiring transformation and quite a view to go with it, James. Thank you. Thanks so much for watching tonight. I'm Whit Johnson in New York. Have a great night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.